Hello, viewers. Welcome to TFI Global. I'm Pradeep Kaushal. Our guest today is senior journalist Shekhar Iyer. Hi, Shekhar.
Thank you, Pradeep ji. Nice to be back with you.
Yeah. So, US President elect Donald Trump is scheduled to assume office on 20th of January. So, he's making news even before taking office. Our topic of discussion today is the imperialistic streak of thinking which he is displaying. Many people are very apprehensive about his designs. So we'll discuss Greenland first. Greenland, which is very sparsely populated, less than 60,000 people, but very odd combination of various factors. It's in North America, but is under the control of Denmark, some 3,000 kilometers apart from each other. Now, President Trump has indicated that he would not mind using even military force to take control of Greenland and also Panama Canal. He's also threatening, or rather jokingly, what we thought was a kind of jest when he asked Trudeau to become the 51st state of the United States of America. So, in the case of Canada, he's saying, I'll use economic force if needed. So, coming back to Greenland, it's a it's a kind of not exactly a colony today, but yes, it started off as a colony. It's 300 years of Danish control. It is of immense military and strategic use for the US, which has a base there. The US has taken over Greenland in the Second World War when Germany occupied the Kingdom of Denmark. So, Shekhar, what do you think are the compelling reasons for which President Trump wants Greenland?
Well, Pradeep ji, you correctly mentioned that what started out as some kind of remarks in
Oh.
jest is now really getting serious because we thought the campaign theme for his re-election bid was about "Make America Great Again." But
Yeah,
now it is not so much about "Make Great America Again," but it's about making a greater America, or
I know.
making a great or make America great again probably requires a greater America. Now,
Yeah,
I think,
so,
no, I feel this is back to those early part of 19th and 20th century when the US expanded by acquiring territories.
yeah, even
Right
buying.
from, yes, even by buying, and and probably they feel that's the route to acquiring a geographical size, and consequently because of the geographical size you acquire that kind of a GDP, and then you can control, and then you can match China economically, and you can match militarily, more than match Russia. I think this seems to be the thinking which is seriously being thought about. The whole thing is it's serious. It's no more a sort of some comedy that's going on. It is serious. It is serious, and also some of the supporters of Trump, even his team, many people believe that a lot of problems that the United States is facing today, if it is security, it is because of the way Canada is handling it. Or if more and more people are coming into America from, say, Mexico, it is because Mexico shows no restrictions on people wanting to leave. And it is becoming a third country where transit is allowed. And as far as Greenland is concerned, it has a population of about only 55,000. But
Yeah,
what lies underneath is much far, more in value than the people. And at a time when Greenland is to go to elections in this year, and there is There's already a movement to give independence to Greenland. So that is a Trump is saying that now or never. And yesterday he dispatched his son, Donald Jr. went there. He arrived in Greenland. And as he arrived there, he published that map showing Greenland part of United States, Canada part of United States, and even Mexico is part of United States. A cartographic kind of message. Now, how serious is this? Can this really be achieved? And when he was asked specifically, do you rule out military option? He says, I don't rule out anything. So, from which flowed that he means what he says, and he's saying what he's meaning. Now, this is obviously got kind of a reactions both in Canada as well as even Mexican President Claudia has reacted. She says, "What about Mex America? After all, a lot of territories were taken from us, whether it is Nevada, California, Arizona. These were under Spanish control earlier, so those were taken in the post-colonial period in America. What about Mex America?" Now, Canada, you saw the reaction, particularly because Trump said Justin Trudeau resigned because he knew that this is going to happen and he didn't want to be the 51st governor of America. But in Canada, the public opinion definitely, at least the political opinion, is against this idea, because we have seen Conservative Party leader Pierre has also reacted. He has said there's no question of this kind of thing. Of course, Trudeau said there is a snowball of a chance. In the sense, it's absolutely impossible. Now, see, on the paper, it looks, very impressive, because in terms of geographical size, I believe if you include all the territories controlled by America currently, apart from the mainland America, plus Canada, that size would be something like 22 million square kilometers.
Yeah, the largest. They would overtake Russia.
I mean, this will be more than it will be larger than Russia, and then of course it will be larger than China, because today Russia is the largest country in the world.
True.
And
true.
in terms of GDP, I am told this could be somewhere like $27.6 trillion. I mean, this is a figure where you control trade, you have rich mineral resources, you have resources to rare earths, which are now they're considered a futuristic area because of the whole idea of going green energy, which requires more operation of batteries and things like that, rare earth materials. Now, all this sounds very good, and but question is, how serious is Trump? I mean, how is he going to carry this out? Or is he already trying to sell another dream? This is another great American dream, is that if we are vast, there will be more opportunities, more jobs, no dearth of resources. Now, Greenland, apart from the fact that it has a huge mineral wealth and untapped potential, we are also told that this could be a new route to reach the Pacific, instead of Suez Canal. But then there is, we all know about the Arctic winter, how it is very difficult for ships to navigate those areas because of icebergs, and in some parts are frozen. But then, Pradeep ji, because of climate change, the Arctic is getting warmer and warmer.
True.
Because
true.
it's getting warmer now, therefore, there is a possibility of a new navigation route. So, in terms of ideas, I think Trump is being guided by his team, which is saying, look, this is where you can completely change and leave behind a legacy. But how are they going to react? I mean, how are they going to reconcile the fact that Canada is a democratic country? Yes, Canada is in deep trouble because of the economy and whatever has happened in that country under Trudeau, and the problems with China, and then the whole issue of security, because Trump is selling the security angle. He says Canadians need not worry about the security. US will take care. We will take care of Canada's security. You don't, with your Royal Canadian Armed Forces not doing much, we can do it. So in terms of idea, it's a grand idea. And that grand idea, I think he has already sold, because from make America great again, now it is make America greater again. So it is from great, it has become greater even before yes, assumed all this. But then we will have to take Trump seriously. I think that's how Denmark is also reacting, and probably you will see in the next few months, Greenland could be declared an independent country. Now, if it is declared independent country, then the public opinion, world of public opinion may be such that it would be very, very negative to Trump. But then Trump is hardly bothered about world opinion, where economic interests matter. And he is known to be a sharp person who may appear to be, saying things in jest, but he means what he says. And Pradeep ji, we discussed it last time also. You see, Trump is not telling Americans that he is like one of them. He's always saying, "Look, I'm different,"
Out of box
and you have
ideas.
and you have seen what I've achieved, what I'm capable of doing. In order to do that, I am bolder in my moves. I do things which no one dares, and he would dare as he can. So this is also an older American idea. If you dare to do some things, then the people will realize the huge potential it is. But so this expansionist idea could definitely rattle China, because China has similar plans about gobbling up Taiwan after it has gobbled up Hong Kong, and China has designs. People say even in the Southeast Asia, and Trump could also think of a situation where he doesn't disturb the local political system. But at the same time, these are all there could be a solution. What people say, instead of a direct annexation kind of thing, there could be a system where there could be a big confederation. The sense each retains its independent whatever political system, parliamentary system, or whatever, but economy is integrated. Pradeep ji, I am forced to recall the formation of the common European market. See, all these countries, France and Germany and all other countries in Europe, at one time they were resistant to this idea of a united Europe. But sheer economic compulsion and security compulsion, and also the collapse of the Soviet Union, saw more and more countries wanting to join European Union, and as a kind of a bailout to their own economic distress. So one by one they got integrated, and you had even today you have a European Parliament. It's another story that in UK people felt, rather even there also, not more than not more than half of the population felt that problems of UK were because they were part of a common market, common European market, and you had a Brexit, and today UK is no better off after Brexit. Pradeep ji.
But there are certain features which are important. Like one, uh, Greenland is not a part of Europe. Number two, Greenland has a very small population size, some 50,000 odd people, which makes it very difficult for Greenland to become a very viable, independent, sovereign country. It it can't defend itself. Rich mineral resources. Many countries have set their eyes on them. And then Denmark, which colonized the area initially, and now Greenland, of course, is an autonomous region. Denmark controls currency, foreign affairs, and military. But as it is, uh, there would be very little resistance if the US really tries to bully its way through. Denmark is not in a position to take on the US, nor is Greenland in a position to do that. And secondly, both Denmark and Greenland have indicated that they are prepared to engage the US. They have not, they are, of course, resistant to the idea of becoming a part of America, but they have indicated that they are prepared to talk to the US, which of opens a small window for the US to come in. What do you think?
Pradeep ji, I don't see Trump going in for a military solution at all, because all this rhetoric about military solution not being ruled out, I would rather see he would hold out a carrot,
Hmm.
and that carrot would be huge American investment to tap the potential of Greenland. That kind of capital Greenland would not have. Greenland doesn't have. In order to, even if it goes independent, it doesn't have that kind of money to tap its mineral wealth, because that would need large companies moving in, undertaking exploration, and before those explorations be turning into a profit making operation. So it's a vast country, vast potential. So in that case, the Trump card would be, rather the Trump's triumph card would be, look, if you integrate with our economy, we'll take care of your current problems.
Yeah,
In
in
turn,
fact, he has been shifting his stand. He started off by floating the idea of buying up Greenland. Then he started indicating that a military solution is also possible. So I think he would remain flexible, but then slowly and gradually, he may be able to achieve his goal. Isn't it so?
absolutely, absolutely, you are on the dot, because whatever Trump says, behind it is way the American firms can get more business and how they can expand. He is not interested in any military conquest. See, when he
Yeah,
is talking of a peace in Ukraine, basically it is saying, look, if some American military manufacturers have made money by selling arms and ammunition to Ukraine to bomb Russia, and in turn, Ukraine got bombed heavily by Russia, and there is a vast devastation across Ukraine. In which case, he is willing to tell Ukraine, look, now is the time for peace. Then you allow the American companies to go there and rebuild Ukraine. And in this whole idea of rebuilding Ukraine, the American companies, they get into big business, big deals, and that will further boost the American economy and also create jobs. Because at the end of the day, Trump's, relationship with his voters entirely depends on how many jobs he's going to create. Similarly with Gaza, I think that the way he has been warning Hamas, he says, look, if by the time I am sworn in, if the last of the Israeli hostages who are still being held for more than a year are not released, the hell will break loose. And he says the hell will break loose means I mean it. And already there is nothing is left of Gaza from whatever we see. But if the hell were to further break loose, which means that Iran could be hurt further. And today you see Iran has gone silent. There is, you no longer hear, after the Trump's election, you no longer hear even the all those old bravado kind of statements on television. And Israel too has realized that Trump is not going to engage a long-standing standoff between Israel and Iran. So whatever Netanyahu had to do before election, American election, and Trump taking office, that I think to a great part he has completed, and he has even said our larger missions have been accomplished, whether it is with Israel or with Hamas. So one can see one common approach in all these things is that Trump is basically looking for opportunities for American business to build upon, for American economy to grow, and he is promising to share the fruits of that growing American economy to these countries like Canada, which are in deep economic trouble, and also, a promising area like Greenland. Look, you integrate with us, you're better off. But then, sir, there is reaction. Now, reaction is coming from countries which are considered economically stronger among other countries in
Germany,
Europe, like
Germany,
France and Germany.
yeah,
They are saying, look, you cannot redraw the Europe's borders. You have to, you cannot threaten sovereign countries. You will have to respect our borders, which means a growing America will also come at the cost of countries like France and Germany, which are ahead. Because at the end of the day, this is all about one-upmanship in terms of getting business, growing business, inventing new business. So one can see a competitive element in whatever Trump says and way countries like France and Germany are responding. And even on Ukraine, he has been very clear. He has agreed with with the perception in America, particularly of the American right. Look, this whole business of Ukraine war was all started by the Biden administration, because it was clear from day one that Russia had no plans to invade Ukraine or anything. The problem was in those areas where Russian was spoken, or rather is spoken. And Putin's bottom line is bottom line was, look, Ukraine should not join NATO, and NATO forces should not come to Russian borders. But I do not know why Zelensky, Ukrainian president, I mean, I don't know what made him, get into this whole thing, and he thought he could resist Russia, and then so much of damage, because this was the bottom line.
Yes, Shekhar, if you look at Ukraine and Trump's position on the current war between Russia and Ukraine, there is a kind of uh, identical logical logic guiding both Trump and Putin. So if Trump takes a very lenient view of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it gels with his own plans vis-a-vis Panama and Panama Canal and Greenland. See, you can't be an expansionist yourself and be critical of what Russia is doing vis-a-vis Ukraine. No?
But Pradeep ji, America has never followed its own morals.
Hmm.
When it comes, they do what is in their interest.
Hmm.
All those
I do.
moral
I
lessons
do.
are those moral lessons are for us.
Uh,
You know,
uh,
in everything, when it comes to their security, when it comes to economic prosperity,
hmm,
when it comes to their superior status, they have
hmm,
always held one law for themselves and one law for us and for others.
hmm,
So
hmm,
I don't see the moral compulsion would come in the way of Trump's grand plan, because it is
hmm,
all about creating wealth.
hmm,
And fortunately or unfortunately, the Trump's approach is either by hook
hmm.
or by what. So therefore,
Or
so I
both.
do not, or maybe both. So I do not see that will come in the way of that. Though, like Pradeep ji, you will remember the days when there was opposition to India having a nuclear deterrence.
Hmm,
They both, all these countries had huge stockpiles. The five big five. They
hmm,
had their own nuclear stockpile, which they described as a deterrent. But
hmm,
then, when India went in for Pokhran 1 in 1974, and
hmm,
then when Atalji decided soon after he became Prime Minister in 98 to go for Pokhran 2, the
hmm,
kind of hell that broke loose on India, and kind of lectures that were given, and that how we are, India has crossed that threshold and is contributing to nuclear proliferation. We suffered sanctions.
hmm,
But at the same time, in terms of the way the disarmament talks used to progress earlier, basically saying we are a club of five, we don't want new entrants. So
no
I
more.
don't see any kind of moral compulsion standing in the way. But Trump is a very intelligent person. He will see what is workable and what can be made workable. But definitely, I think and there could be a possibility that Trump could even encourage a kind of movement in Greenland which will seek a greater integrity with US. See, already the Greenland Prime Minister, I think he has been saying that, look, there's some people are misguided in Greenland as
Hmm.
to seeking more integrity with America, the belief that it will give them prosperity. So I've seen that among Greenland politicians who are preparing for the next election, there are different views.
Of course,
It
of
is not
course.
that it is because at the end of the day, Pradeepji, I feel if it means a better quality of life, if it means more business and a business of which we get a share, I think the mood in Greenland could change.
Yeah, everybody wants, as it is said, that everybody wants a US visa. Everybody wants to go there and enjoy fruits of development. So some people would certainly get tempted to join the US.
Yes,
Acha,
you remember Pradeepji in 77
hmm,
when George Fernandez, led that campaign that, America get out.
hmm,
Coca-Cola was sent away, IBM was closed. That was a period where we said, unless you share your technology, you're off. So that
hmm,
time, that was the slogan used to be, Uncle Sam, go home, but take me along.
hmm,
So, that kind of thing where, as you said, everybody wants a piece of that cake. even if it
Yeah,
is not the icing on the cake, but at least some portion of the cake.
I think something wrong with our connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll come back. Yeah, yeah, please carry on.
No, no. What I was saying is, I was recalling the 1977 when the Janata Party government was formed,
Hmm.
and when there was this movement led by George Fernandez himself, and he was the
Hmm.
industry minister then, if I remember right, and he wanted all the American firms to go home, being a socialist leader. So Coca-Cola was sent away, IBM was sent away because Coca-Cola refused to share their formula, secret formula of their beverage. And
And
but that time the slogan was, I mean, among at least the people used to say, "Uncle Sam, go home, but take
hmm,
me along."
take me along. Acha, now coming to Panama Canal, we have discussed it earlier also. What do you think are the chances of the US invading Panama to take control of the canal, which he says has fallen into the hands of the Chinese? He said we had handed over Panama Canal to Panama, hoping that either the US would run it or Panama would run it. But what we find now is that the Chinese are running it. So, what do you think are the chances of the US making use of military to take control of Panama Canal, which is
Well,
very
I
vital
think,
for its trade? Yeah.
yeah, I think first the Trump would ensure that because Panama is already a great plan for Panama Canal, because as we discussed last time, these weather changes, climatic changes, the climate change that is happening all over has affected the Panama Canal water levels. They
Mm,
faced a drought last year, and there is a problem because the water is fed from that lake into the canal. So
mm,
there has been plans to increase, hydration for those canals by new projects, and also for the development of the areas around the canal. Now, some Chinese firms have backed orders. That is why Trump keeps saying, "Look, you are ultimately it will lead to," because right now it is managed by companies of Panama, who are also looking for new technology of dredging and all that, in which Chinese have huge interest in that area. So Trump could pressurize Panama not to encourage Chinese directly taking control of those management of the canal, or in the anything related to the the canal navigation, or into the business of the canal navigation. But that more or less some kind of guarantees may be extracted from Panama as to ensure that Chinese companies don't get a bigger say, and the Americans are allowed concession both in terms of shipping fees through the canal, some kind of a concession for American companies, because basically they have been complaining that our imports and exports are getting uh, cost wise, they are getting on the higher side because of the high tariff being imposed by the Panamanian authorities since the last year drought. Now, this year there is no drought, but the charges have not come down. So Trump could seek a special concession for American ocean liners and for American containers. So I think again and again, the first thing will be the American companies feel happy about it.
And Trump would also want the same contracts to be given to American companies instead of the Chinese, isn't it?
Yeah, possible, definitely. But Chinese have made large economic, I would say, they have made large economic investments, not just in the South Americas, but they have also done in Central America as well as in Africa. Africa also they have made huge investments, because Chinese have been, they have been cash surplus always, and they have been looking back to into. So it's going to be a question of U.S. capital versus Chinese capital.
And they are very skilled when it comes to making contracts with people, so their terms would be such that it will be very difficult for one party to exit from those contracts, isn't it?
Absolutely, today Nepal has realized it. Earlier, Sri Lanka was in a kind of a debt trap. with China,
mm,
vis-a-vis China, and they are realizing order this border road initiatives or the so-called Belt program. These are now proving to be
unwell.
extremely
Uh,
dead traps. Whether it is Sri Lanka, whether it is Nepal and Pakistan. Today, the China Pakistan economic corridor, where Chinese firms have invested a lot, and they are also facing attacks from terrorist groups who are opposed
mm.
to the Chinese presence. If you recall, Pradeep ji, Imran Khan, when he was prime minister, and shortly before he was removed, he used to say that these Chinese companies are the new East Indian company.
I know.
And he blamed even all these interests, including America, for his ouster by the Pakistan military.
Uh, that's what, no, you are right, while pointing out that Nepal, Sri Lanka, all these countries are realizing that they have walked into a trap by signing contracts with the Chinese.
And the
So,
latest to this list is Mauritius and
mm,
Maldives.
Maldives.
Maldives,
It has come back to us.
suddenly you find he has made a U-turn. Now he has realized that it is better to deal with government of India than with the Chinese.
Mm,
That's why you are hearing of again renewal of defense cooperation. Then you are seeing renewal of favored trade agreements.
mm. Ministers of Maldives, they are coming to India one after another.
So they
So,
have
same.
realized that it is easy to make an anti-India stand and win election, but then practical reality is such that it's like putting your head into the mouth of a crocodile.
Mm, mm.
It's not easy to take it out.
So, coming back to Canada, uh, what do you see happening in the coming elections in Canada? Do you see
Well,
any chance Trudeau coming back, or do you think we have seen the back of Trudeau now?
I think Liberal Party as a whole, the chips are very down because that is largely due to Justin Trudeau's leadership and conduct of his government in the last 5 years. And the problems are such, people feel that it's time to bring about a change. And Trudeau has realized that the mood in Canada, because successive opinion polls have shown that the Liberal Party is no longer seen as capable of finding solution to the problems in Canada, which is inflation. And second thing is huge, cost of living, particularly of huge cost going up in terms of retail spaces, in terms of residential accommodation, and where common Canadians are finding that they are not able to meet the both the ends. So you can see that there is definitely a mood for change. Of course, Justin Trudeau has announced that he has quit the leadership of Liberal Party also. The Liberal Party may elect a new leader, but then it is like the Conservative Party in UK we saw. There were a series of changes. Finally, Rishi Sunak took over. But despite Rishi Sunak's best efforts, people wanted a change. That's why the Labour also underwent such changes in terms of policy. They called themselves the new right Labour. So you can see that Canada is in for a change, and I do not see Trudeau or anybody or any one of his supporters, emerging victorious whenever the Canadian elections are held. And the
So, with the
problems there are entirely because of local problems. I'm not saying this has got to do anything with the kind of problems Trudeau created between India and Canada. That's a part.
yeah, of
But
course, of course.
this is entirely the domestic issues and the domestic economy and the domestic failures.
Acha, now we come to the uh, towards the conclusion of our discussion. But before we wind it up, I would like to draw you out on what do you see ultimately happening vis-a-vis Trump as far as Canada is concerned? where do you think this entire issue would conclude now?
So I think to begin with, Canada may be forced to, accept the terms that Trump is setting, which he says, look, particularly trade barriers, the high tariffs that the Canada cannot have it in one way. So which means Canada may have to renegotiate in terms of allowing American goods more into the Canada, and letting Canada goods take compete in a much more spirited way with American companies. Because the whole problem is, Trump's first complaint was that Canada has huge trade barriers, and they are not letting American produce to enter Canada because of high cost being imposed on them. So it's all started with some kind of a trade war as such, I would say. So therefore, I think the first step would be is pressure on them, and then as the Canadian economy comes under more distress, so the leaders, whoever comes to power in Canada will have to go for a deal with Trump. What that deal could be, and this idea of an integrated America, a greater America, without keeping the political systems intact, may seem to be a good idea later for even Canadians themselves.
So we can look forward to separate deals happening between the US and Greenland, then also with Copenhagen, and then another with Panama, and then, of course, with Canada. So thank you so much, Shekharaya. Thank you sharing your ideas with us.
Thank you, Pradeep
Namaskar.
ji. Thank you for having me. Namaskar.
Oh, okay. Namaskar.